Hey everybody, I'm Kirsten with Talk Travel Eat, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about how we found our apartment in Lisbon. For Lisbon, so we decided to put our budget at €1,000 per month for an apartment in a great neighborhood with all of the amenities that we were looking for. After you figure out your budget, you have to determine whether your budget allows for the location that you would like. It can be challenging, but my recommendation based on my own personal experience is to really search out the location that you want and see if there's something in there that can fit your budget. And now when I talk about location, you also want to think about the type of lifestyle that you're looking for. I know a lot of people move over here to Portugal coming from different areas around the world, and maybe your life in Portugal will look a lot different than your life did wherever your home country is. And an example of that is people who maybe live in the suburbs where they are and they want to move to a city center so they can avoid having a car. Now, I think this is a great plan. We do not have a car here in Lisbon, but we also have some experience living a carless lifestyle back in the United States. We lived in Manhattan a couple of different times, and even in our home in San Diego, a couple of different times we lived actually in downtown San Diego, where we could walk to everything. Now, this is the part that is really important. When I say walk to everything, you have to really be prepared to know how far you're ready to walk to go to the grocery store. So for me, I want the grocery store within a block or two of our apartment. And where we live now, we're lucky to have Pingo Doce, Lidl, Continent, and Auchan all within about a 2-block radius of our apartment. And that is fantastic. And I only say this because on one of the times we lived in New York City, we were living on the Upper West Side, and we were living probably at around 85th and West End Avenue, and there's a Trader Joe's on the Upper West Side for those of you familiar with that part of Manhattan, but it was a hassle to go to Trader Joe's because it was like 12 blocks away. Now, 12 blocks is nothing in New York City, but when you want to lug water, you know, your groceries, and then you have to take them a couple of stops on the subway, that's a pain. The same thing could be said here if you're living somewhere in Portugal and you have to take an Uber to the grocery store. I just think that would be a hassle. That's not really worth it. I want to pop out to the store and go quickly down the block to get the things that I need. Just something to consider. You really need to think about the ins and outs of the location. Another thing I would suggest that you do is when you do hone in on a place that you are considering and you're not able to see it in person, we'll talk about that a little later in this video, make sure that not only that you have someone on site doing that legwork for you, but make sure you spend a little time doing street view in Google Maps. You want to know what the surrounding area looks like, and you want to know what you're going to have to walk past to get to that bakery, to get to your favorite restaurant, to get to the grocery store. It really does make a difference, and I just think that's so important, and I think that's a point that a lot of people miss when they're looking for an apartment. They think, oh, the apartment's great, the neighborhood is okay. Sure, it's only going to take me 15 or 20 minutes to get to the store, but in reality, when you're doing it, it's a lot different. So just make sure you know your own tolerance level for doing day-to-day errands and activities, because that is a huge part of city living, and that's why you're moving here, and you want it to be enjoyable and not a hassle. The next thing I want to talk briefly about are realtors here in Portugal. It's a little bit different than we were used to coming from the US, where you have the MLS or just a consolidated place to look for rental listings. Here in Portugal, realtors have access to a similar system, but as a consumer, we don't readily have access to that system. Also, realtors are most likely affiliated with one realty company. For example, let's say Remax or Century 21. So they're likely to present you with properties from their own brand, Remax or Century 21. And so that was a little bit different, and it took me a little while to catch on to that. So just be aware of that. I'm gonna go over my process that I used to find our apartment, and hopefully it will help you find yours. There are a few different websites that people use to find an apartment in Portugal, and I actually looked at them too. And again, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my process. The first thing I wanted to do was just try to familiarize myself with the market. And so even before we filed our visa applications, I was living on these websites, and those websites are idealista.com. I should say idealista.pt. There's another one, Emo Virtual. There's Casa Sapo, OLX. There are several of these websites, and basically I would just go onto the website, search an area to see what apartments were going for in that area, and just try to look at the trends. What I also did on these websites is try to look at the companies that were actually listing these properties, and then go check the listings on Idealista with the listing on that company's website. Yes, it was a little laborious, but I just wanted to know, were these listings the same on both websites? Did listings appear on multiple websites? I even looked at Airbnb, Flatio, Spotahome, all of those websites to see if I could find those listings on Idealista as well. I was just trying to find out how apartments are listed in Portugal, and was I seeing the same listings across multiple sites. Let's take a quick look at the Idealista website. So you can see, you can search here, and I will show you. I'll just search in our area that we live in, Avenidas Novas, Lisbon. You can search this specifically. I could have just put in Lisbon, but I know the area I want to list. So if we look in this area and press search, it gives you a map of the different areas within Avenida Novas. You can see you have Entre Campos. They tell you how many homes are in each area. Campo Pequeno, São Sebastião, Barrio Azul. And so since there are 300 homes in this area, I'm just going to click to see them all. Okay? And so then your list will come up. And then as you can see, the list is sorted by relevance, but I want it to be sorted by most recent. Now the same apartment comes up here because I have searched in the past and I always search by most recent. You can see the area here in Lisbon. You can see a few specifics about the apartment. You can see right here it was updated 2 hours ago, and it shows you who's listing it here. Now if you click on this listing, you can see the information of the company, specifics of the apartment. Okay, now it says it was last updated 2 hours ago. So that would tell me that this apartment is still available. Now you can set parameters on this website by price. Here's everything you can set. Generally, I kind of like to see everything just to see what's going on in the area, what companies have most listings, etc., etc. Now, it's really important when you go into a listing, you want to see whether or not the listing is current. So let's look at this one, a T1. It says it's a first floor with lift, January 12th. So I just think it's important with any listing that you go to, you make sure it's pretty current. This says updated 1 day ago, so that's probably pretty accurate. So the next thing I would do is I made myself a chart so I could track which listings I was interested in, whether or not I reached out to the realtor, and I will show you a bit of that. So if we look at this one, let's say T1 Campo Pequeno, and I click on the listing and I see it's a private owner and there is a phone number here. Now, here you can contact via chat. I've done that. And here is their phone number. Now in Portugal, if the phone number begins with a 9, it's a cell phone. And I found that most people do use WhatsApp, and I found it very, very helpful. So what I would do is I prepared not a script, but an introductory message I would send to potential landlords or realtors via WhatsApp. And I will put that up on the screen here. And basically, I would send this message, and I sent this message out to so many places. Again, I would enter this information on my trusty chart and see what kind of response I would get. When I would send the messages, I would make sure I documented my chart, how I sent the message, whether I sent the message through the Idealista app or directly via WhatsApp. Before I sent the messages, I would load the contacts into my cell phone so that I knew exactly who I was sending a message to. And when I would send the messages, I had a link to the specific property that I was talking about because I sent quite a few messages. So Idealista is a great jumping off resource because it really does give you a variety of apartments. It does have some alojamento local listings, but you can usually weed those out. And when you find listings that you like on Idealista that are listed by real estate firms, you can look at that real estate website and contact the realtor directly. So after searching on Idealista for a while, I did get some responses, and I was able to set up some viewings of some apartments. What I found was the people that I was able to make a connection with, it worked out really well. I also was able to keep in touch with a couple of realtors that were working exclusively for the company that they were employed with, and they kept me up to date on any new listings that came in that their company was listing. Now, I also went directly to the real estate websites, and my favorite actually is Remax. We actually found our apartment on the Remax PT website, and here's the best tip I'm going to give you. Do the legwork yourself. Scrub through these websites, try to reach out to realtors, and if you have a realtor that you're working with and you know the type of apartment that you're looking for, search for the apartment yourself. You're going to have more time to dedicate yourself to the search because you're only looking for one apartment for yourself, whereas a realtor, has several clients that they're searching for apartments for. When you find the apartments that you're really interested in seeing, you can send those links to your realtor and ask your realtor to reach out to the other realtors that actually hold the listing. This is exactly what we did, and in the end we secured our apartment this way. We did all the legwork, we looked up the listings, and then we had our realtor, who was fantastic, actually reach out to the other real estate office. And when we went to view this particular apartment that we ended up renting, we met with the realtor that did the listing. So our realtor wasn't physically on site. We just met with the realtor that had the apartment listed, and that realtor was also very nice, very friendly. The showing was great, and the apartment basically had everything we wanted. The location, spectacular. Like I said, within a couple of blocks of all kinds of shopping, restaurants, 2 metro lines within a couple of blocks of our front door. We've got central heating in the form of radiators, which works great, and we have air conditioning, which we didn't use even though we got here at the end of the summer. And it's a south facing apartment, which means we have sun all day long. We don't have a car, but the apartment came with a parking place, so that is a huge plus. And it's just a really nice place, elevator building, and our landlords are super cool, just super chill, very nice. It's just a good setup, and I think we got lucky finding this apartment for the price, but it was basically just going through the ads and then asking our realtor to reach out on our behalf. If you look at the remax.pt website, you can go in and we'll just go ahead and search how we did Avenidas Noas, Lisbon, right here. And if I put that in, and what you can do, you can either search by looking at the map here, and you can see you can sort how you want: lowest price, biggest price, largest area, last. I tend to put up last because those are the most current listings. And you can go through and you can kind of see what you've got. And when you're going directly on one of these real estate websites, I feel like the listings are a little more, I don't want to say authentic, but I do want to say that they're generally private landlords trying to rent their apartments, and they're not looking to rent them as tourist apartments. So if we look at this right here, it's a T1 for $880. It doesn't appear to be furnished, but it tells you kind of the location. You can see everything here. It looks like it's in a really great location. And here you can see you have the information for the realtor. Now, one thing to know about RE/MAX, it is a huge company, and you can see this agent, she is with the RE/MAX Latina 2 office. You know, there are tons of RE/MAX offices in Lisbon alone, and you could reach out to her directly. Here you can see her mobile number is listed. There it is. You can also see if she has other listings. I just thought this website was very user friendly. It has lots of listings, and it's very up to date. A couple of the reach outs through the RE/MAX website, there were apartments that were listed where they were waiting to sign a contract. The realtors were very helpful and said if it didn't work out, they would get back to us. You can see here, it shows when places have been leased. And again, you can filter out through price, other things. So my best advice to you would be just to be consistent, to be patient. No, it takes a little bit of time, but if you really dig into these advertisements, these websites, and if you really send out a lot of messages to a lot of different realtors, you will get some responses. Now, make sure that you send your messages out in Portuguese. Obviously, we're in Portugal, so you want the messages to be in Portuguese, and explain a little bit about your situation, and just keep sending them out, and you will get some responses. It can be done. Now, if you are looking for your apartment from outside of Portugal, obviously that creates some more challenges for you, but I would still follow this model a bit, because the one thing is you want to see apartments that you're actually interested in living in. And that was one of the things at first that was a little difficult, because I was giving our criteria, but we were being presented with options that didn't necessarily fit that criteria. So I feel like you can save yourself a lot of headache if you do a little bit of the legwork yourself, and whatever relocation specialist you're working with, or realtor that you're working with, or the person that's going to go look at these apartments for you because you're living in a different country, you're actually guaranteed that you're going to see apartments that you want to live in. And really be specific, I think, about the area you want to live in. It's a huge investment. It's a time investment, but I think it's really important to know what you want and where you want. Sure, you can move again, but it's really nice if you don't have to. There's so many different options for you here in Portugal, depending upon your budget, the kind of lifestyle you want, And I know when we were preparing to come over, we were just so excited about the possibility of coming over that maybe we didn't keep the strongest standards because we just wanted to find something. I think there's so much here that you don't have to go that route. Just give yourself a little time, a little patience, and put in a little effort, and I really think you can find the apartment that you really want. So thank you again for watching this video. I hope that there's some information in here that you found useful. Please let me know in the comments. I appreciate reading your comments. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks again, and have a great day, everybody.